Woohoo! Welcome to YMA Chat. And I believe this is number 18. Yes.
18, yeah.
Gets the number right. Woo, first time for everything. And today we are going to be talking about leadership in martial arts. That it really is not only about being in charge or commanding others from the front of the studio. It's about embodying the principles of discipline, humility, and respect while guiding others through their journey, both in the studio and outside the studio. That's the biggest difference that I would say is being captured here in YMA, in Yarwood's Martial Arts. And one of the biggest reasons why Mr. Yarwood and I have chosen to work together and also to put this podcast, video cast, whatever you want to call it, together inside of this conversation. And so today, as I said, I just shared this. So I'll put it up for a minute or two to let people read it as they come in, and social media goes bloop, 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 tells people to come and join us in our podcast. And I want to thank you once again, Mr. Yarwood, for entrusting me with your conversation on your Facebook site, and really excited to step into this today. And I'm going to pass it over to you to get us started with number one.
Yes, sir. So in our school, leadership is not just our instructors. It's every single person in that school can be a leader, and we emphasize that with them. When we start class, I talk to the kids about how they're going to act in class and what they're going to do. And the most important way that we lead, because there's two different ways that we talk about leadership. The first is everybody understands, like, telling people what to do, right? If you're in charge, you're telling people that they need to go over here, they need to do this, they need to have these things done, whatever that is. That's leadership. That's basically leading from the front, being the person in charge. But we also talk about leadership in terms of being a leader by showing everybody else what to do. Leadership by example. And every kid, from our littlest little dragon all the way up to Mr. Greg, can be a leader in our school. They can be a leader on the mats. They can be their leader outside of the school. The best way to do that is to just do the things that you're supposed to do and show others by doing that. So it's probably the most important way to be a leader is to just do all the things that you know you're supposed to do. So senior students and instructors, they're expected to demonstrate the high standards of behavior, discipline, and respect. And they show new students the correct way of training, interacting, and conducting themselves both inside and outside the dojo. And that goes for everybody. That goes for our students, right? We have, say, our little dragons who are 4 to 6 year olds. We have some of them have been there for 6 months, 9 months, and they know how class runs. When we get a new student, I'll talk to one of our little dragons and say, hey, you know what? We got a new student today. I need you to show them how they're supposed to stand on their dot. I need you to show them how they're supposed to be loud. I need you to show them what they're supposed to do when Mr. Yarwood tells them to run. Can you do that for me? And they're like, yes, sir. Right? They want to do that. That leadership is built in. We just have to encourage it. Right? So then that little kid now is entrusted with that leadership role, and they take that very seriously, right? They go, I want to make sure that this new student knows how to stand on their dot, right? Knows how to do a front kick the way Mr. Yarwood teaches them. So having our students be able to do that encourages that leadership, and then that starts to spread into everything else that they do. So now maybe they're at school and there's a kid that is not doing what they're supposed to do in class, and that kid that is the leader will sit up in front. They'll stand tall. They'll raise their hand properly. They'll answer properly. They'll get other kids to follow their lead, and so it travels with them wherever they go, and it's so fun to see them start to embrace it and become a leader based on the little cues that we give them as their instructor, as their mentor.
Yeah, I just wrote something and sent it out, and it says leadership is built into people, and we're inviting it out of them. And I think this is the biggest misnomer, is that well, I don't know how to be a leader. We, in various parts of our life, lead by just the fact that who we are as human beings and how we've survived to get to 6 years old, 7 years old, teenagers, adults. We have gained the opportunity to lead through our lives. And I think what I see in the martial arts training is the nurturement of that and the calling forth of that leadership skill. So really appreciate the opportunity for that. And I think that's, if you think about going to school, as when a teacher asks you to share and people put their hands up, that's a form of leadership. When a teacher reaches out to you and calls your name and you answer, that's a form of leadership, because you're answering a question. Even if you may not have the answer correct, the fact that you answer and attempt it is incredible. And that is also the opportunity, if you have the quote unquote wrong answer, how we can look and judge the skill of a teacher, the skill of an instructor, is how do they take that answer and say, okay, you're on the right track, and nurture them so that they don't feel shut down because they gave the wrong answer. No.
Yep.
You lead them along a path, you mentor them, you teach them, you coach them along this path to get to this place where it's possible to see growth from the first time they answer a question to a year later when they're strong, full of confidence, and answering questions with a new highlight to that.
Yep.
So, John, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the ways we do that in the dojo is we have a student come up and help us show everybody else how to do a specific move, right? We call it highlighting. So we'll pick a kid who's doing something that we notice maybe they've improved on something, or they're doing it really well, and we want everybody else to see it. We'll call them up to the front and have them show all the other students, like, hey, you're doing really well with that front kick. Let's have everybody else see how you're doing that, right? And it kind of builds their confidence with them. They get them up in front of the class, so now everybody's watching them. They're, they get a little nervous maybe at first, but I think everybody really wants to be noticed for something that they're doing really well. And then that will help to instill that leadership in them, that they want to do it more and actually engage in the leadership part versus being, at first we kind of encourage it, and then eventually they start to do it on their own, which is really cool. And when we're doing that for them, it kind of helps to foster that, like you said, that direction. It's like, all right, when I'm doing things like this and I'm practicing, maybe I'm struggling a little bit, but I keep trying. People are starting to notice, and then now I want to be able to show other people how to do it because I did it first, right? So that they're leading from the front by doing all that stuff and showing others, hey, you can do it too. So it's really cool to see that.
And I just want to also speak to, right below the pictures, you'll see me as I'm learning to play with some of the tools here on StreamYard. You'll see that I'm suggesting you go to the website, yarwoodsmartialarts.com. Check it out. You'll see a little bit about what we're up to and what we're creating. And you'll see more of the examples. You'll get to see some videos. You'll also have an opportunity to click for more information, and then when you click for more information, you'll be sent to the current deal. And what's the current deal, Mr. Yarwood?
6 weeks for $29 plus, which includes a uniform. And also an entry into our Disney $10,000 giveaway.
Right. So, and you might say, well, I'm still got to spend $29.99. Yes, because we want to be able to continue this way of growing. And let's say we had 30 students, all of a sudden that would cost Mr. Yarwood, almost $1,000 in uniforms. So one of the things that $29.99 basically covers the cost of your uniform that you can come to class with during the course of those 6 weeks. So it really is super valuable. It gives you an idea. Is this for you? Is this something that you can see the difference as parents coming into the organization and see? And you'll also see on the website, you'll also see that Mr. Yard has created a foundation, and a foundation to help some of the underprivileged around the Twin Cities to be able to come and, as long as they can come and visit and have a ride and have a way to come to the dojo, there's an application process to be able to say, hey, you know, I really want to do this, but my parents it's not in, you know, my parents aren't together. It's not in the budget. It's not even possibility in the budget. You know, there's an opportunity to apply for grants, and then we have them. That's what the Legacy Foundation is about.
You know, so call them white belt scholarships.
White belt scholarships. I love it. That's great. And to me, this is all part of number 2 and number 3, mentoring and teaching others. This is what we want to embody and show as an example and create a positive and supportive environment, because we know there are times when people are not able to justify investing in their health and their future in martial arts. So whether it's just to, you know, fill that support gap for a little bit while you're between occupations and not able to support your young one getting into this is a way. And, you know, then to see the value and to see other ways, because throughout the course of the year too, we also have ways in which there's raising money, not only for the organization, but for you as a student. So once again, creating a positive and supportive environment so that you can move through growing and learning. I know that there are several people that have learned how to, you know, build their self-confidence to go up and knock on a door as a salesperson, which is one of the, you know, door-to-door sales is super hard, even if it's for a good cause, even if it's for a foundation, even if it's to support, and the deal that you bring to the door is better than the, you know, the what they pay for it. It still takes something, and that's part of the leadership journey that we have at Yarwood's Martial Arts. All right, back to you.
Well, just in those, along those lines, we want to be able to provide our martial arts training, not only our physical, but all the life skill training to everybody who wants to do it. Not everybody can afford the tuition, right? Maybe they're in a situation like when I was a kid. The whole reason for the foundation for me, when I was a kid, I started training in karate, and my mom was a single mom with 2 kids, working a full-time job, going to school, and we couldn't afford it. So I had to quit. And that was something that always stuck with me. Like, I just really was, you know, it wasn't, you know, it was just our situation, but it was disappointing to me that I couldn't continue, right? So once I was in a position in my own school that I could create something like this and be able to give back to kids who are probably in the same situation I was in, that's been a super huge thing for me. I want to give this opportunity to anybody who wants it, right? And try and remove as many barriers as possible for them to come and train with us and get the full value of what our program can give, not only to the kids, but to the families as a whole. You know, we're not just about training our kids, but, you know, we honor our parents, respect our parents. We make sure that they're taken care of as well. So creating opportunities for them to be able to do that has been a huge drive for me. I mean, you know, through creating the environment that we have, you know, I think they come in and realize it's not a handout, right? We're not trying to just give you money so you can be there. We want you to experience what our program has to offer, and we want to create an opportunity for you to be able to do that.
Beautiful. So as we move through and look at the, you know, today we've got, you know, 13 different opportunities to talk about leadership, just to name a few of them. And we've kind of gone through the first 3. Number 4 is one that is, you one of the things that's hard for anybody in this day and age, and that is embodying discipline and consistency. I think in our world today, it's so easy to bow out. It's so easy to take time off or have some excuse not to go. I mean, more and more students are finding ways to stay at home ever since COVID, and which yes, it's great that when they are sick, truly sick, and there's an opportunity to be able to do this stuff from home. That's awesome. It's become, I believe, overused and too easy. So even with the sniffles, even with the sign of it, their kids are staying home. And I think one of the things that happens inside of the studio and learning martial arts is you create a new level of discipline, a new level of consistency with, what, I'm good. I can, bring a Kleenex. I can bring some Kleenex with me. I can take, some of this over-the-counter stuff to support my dripping nose or my cough. I can bring a water bottle with me and put some lemon in it or orange in it and help my throat. And all of a sudden, these new ideas start coming is how do I, continue my game and continue to level up? In this day and age, I think this is not being taught anywhere. And parents sometimes are too busy to think about the stuff that their parents taught them that they now don't even think about because it's not front and center for them. So some of this stuff for us is front and center. Leaders show their commitment by following the rules of the dojo, maintaining a regular training schedule, and upholding the traditions and values of the art. They set a strong example of how discipline leads to growth. And this leadership, then it's like, wow, I want to lead by example. So guess what? I'm going to be doing better in my schoolwork. I'm going to do better in my homework. Why? Because then I can lead by example. And that's the ripple effect, I say, that happens in our lives based on martial arts training. Over to you, John.
Yes, sir. So when you are the student that is at every single class, and not just at every single class, but working hard in every single class, you get done with class and you're sweating and you're tired and you're smiling, you're leading by example by showing all the other students, hey, have some discipline. When you have discipline, you get things done, right? They're showing that there's no excuses. Excuses are just lies that you tell yourself to get out of other things that you don't necessarily want to do. But when you're that student that, okay, I'm not feeling great today, maybe I had a bad day or I'm in a bad mood, you come into the dojo anyway. You walk in that door, you leave that attitude outside, you come in, start training. By the end of the class, you don't want to leave. You're like, oh man, I'm having so much fun. I can't believe it's over already, right? But you're also telling all the other students there that, hey, you can have a bad day, you can have a bad attitude, whatever. But if you have the discipline to come in and just do the work, you're going to make strides forward that you never thought you would, because you decided to just work through whatever it is you're dealing with and stick to that discipline and consistency of training, because that's what's going to get you to where you want to go. It's too easy to quit. It's too easy to say no. Too easy to say, I don't feel like it, right? When you do that, it's just like, it leads one day, leads to the next day, and pretty soon you're 3 months out and you just quit. And you never finished what you were starting. So when you're being consistent with that, you're setting an example not only for yourself, but for everybody else around you that you train with. And I think it's a huge deal to be that person in the school when everybody goes, man, he's always here, he's always working hard, and I wonder why he gets more attention from the instructors. Because they're the kids that want to work, they're the kids that want to do the thing, they're the kids that want to lead. They start to get other things for them in the school. Maybe they join an advanced program, or maybe they join our instructor program, because they're showing that not only are they doing all the things for themselves, but they're also helping other people, right? They're showing other people what to do. So there's other avenues for them to travel that open up to them that wouldn't have if they were just inconsistent or kind of disciplined or sort of show up once in a while or kind of get things done or maybe go through the motions. It's not going to be there for you.
Yep. So I stole that, right? You can have a bad day, and with discipline, you can work through the little things, and poof, you're on the floor training, providing a great example. And you can,
Yep.
and that carries that out. And I think one of the things in number 5 here, inspiring confidence in others when you're that type of leader. Leadership in martial arts involves empowering others to believe in themselves, whether through a kind word of encouragement, helping someone push through a tough training session, or giving positive reinforcement. Martial arts leaders inspire confidence in others and help them realize their potential. And one of the great things about this, we do that as a community, not just the instructors from the front, but it's addictive. And so those of us that are in the class support those of us next to each other, right? Because when all boats rise together, it makes a profound difference. And that's the power of community. That's the power of inspiring confidence in others. And some of you might be going, well, how do you maintain your humility in this? Well, that's part of leadership training as well. Effective leaders in martial arts maintain humility regardless of their rank or experience level. I mean, this is the long-standing joke for me, right? Because I'm on my goal is to, get into the black belt world and reach that level. And part of it is I know I've been around it long enough, and I've been around Mr. Yarwood long enough. When I earn that black belt, it's not about having, reached some level that is like, okay, now I'm here. It's like, okay, no, now I'm ready to learn.
Yep.
I've done the basics, right? To now be the kind of leader that can demonstrate I know how to learn. And that's a whole nother level of leadership for me as a business coach. I've coached coaches. I've personally coached over 500 coaches to be coaches. And one of the things that I tell them, look, there's nowhere to get to. There's nowhere to go to. You're already there. The thing is, my goal is to remove the poop that's in the way for you seeing that you're already there. And in training, it's like, look, we're not here to say you're not good enough. It's, look, I've got to teach you these principles. I have to coach you to understand the principles. I've been doing some work with Mr. Yarwood one-on-one over the past couple of weeks. And, we had this just this week on Monday, we had this discussion, and I'm like, well, I didn't know this about this particular move. And Mr. Yarwood goes, Les, if I told you everything about every move, you'd never make it out of doing the first thing. I could do a class 3 days in a row on one simple move because of all the nuances and things that have to coexist and come into alignment, right? And this is part of the adversity in life and the stress that is part of going in martial arts, which then carries out into the rest of the world. How do we handle that? Well, Mr. Yarwood's got it in a great way. It's this trickle theory. In sales, I call it the drip theory.
Yep.
You just
there's
go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've found in my journey. I've been doing this for 16 years now. I've found the further down the path I get, the more I realize I don't know. Because as I get, you're going through the forest and there's trees, all of a sudden this opens up. You're like, oh my goodness, what is this, right? It's crazy. You think you got it nailed, right? And all of a sudden, boom, this whole new world opens up to you. You're like, oh, I don't know what I don't know until I figure it out, right? I'm learning as I go. And I mean, for me personally, my journey, I'm working on getting my 6th degree black belt in 2 years and hopefully becoming a master in 2027, right? That journey alone, just from here to there, I know there's going to be more stuff that I have no idea what's coming, right? That I'm going to learn that I never even imagined or anticipated. It's just part of what we do, right? And if you decide that you know everything you need to know, then you're done. You might as well just quit, because that means you've shut your brain off. You're not willing to learn anything else. You're not willing to take anything else in. That means your humility is gone. That means you think that you have reached your pinnacle. And in reality, you have, because if that's where you decide you know everything, then you're done. Right? For me, I've been humbled many times along the journey, thinking, oh, I got this. And like when we first moved into the new organization, right, I was ready to test for my 5th degree. I've been training 4 years with my form, right? We joined a new organization. I reached out to Grandmaster about, being able to test at Worlds. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. So I figured, being as smart as I thought I was, that I was going to get to do the form I've been training with for 4 years, and that I was just kind of ease my way in with all the stuff I'd already been doing. Nope. Grandmaster had other plans for me. March of 2021, I got the directions that I needed to test for 5th degree in July of 2021. I got directions that I needed to learn my all the color belt forms that are brand new to me, plus my new black belt form. And I needed to be ready, and a weapon form, brand new, and I needed to be ready to test for rank by July. And I just went, what? I felt like a white belt all over again, right? But I had the humility to go out, bow, and say, yes, sir, and got to work, knowing that I can't complain about it, can't whine about it. Doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything. I just got to get to work and get it done. Ultimately, I got everything done I need to get done, and I passed my 5th degree for my 5th degree rank. And then guess what happened? A whole new world opened up again. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, right? So it's not just what you think you know, it's what you don't even know you don't know yet. And when you get to those levels, the higher you go, the more there is to learn, right? And to me, it's just, that's one of the draws for what I do, is like, there's always something new. There's always something to learn. There's always something that I get to learn and pass on to my students. Grandmaster has knowledge that I don't have, and I want to learn that from him, right? For example, this weekend, he's coming to town with Master Emma and Senior Master Urban to run an instructor college. We're going to spend 10 hours training how to become better instructors. I've been doing this for 16 years, right? If I wasn't humble enough to realize that I don't have anything more to learn, I wouldn't get anything out of it, because I would just close my mind up and I'd be done. I know that this weekend, I'm going to learn a lot, because I don't know what I don't know yet. And when I get there, I'm going to be like, wow, that's really cool. So I'm excited, because I love to learn new things.
And that, for me, this is fostering a growth mindset, right? When you look at a leader, good leaders in martial arts encourage a mindset of continuous improvement. They remind students that mistakes are part of the learning process and help them see challenges as opportunities for growth. By emphasizing progress over perfection, they inspire resilience and persistence. And one of the things that, always amazes me in any training of any kind is you can go through training, and I'll share something from my sales management experience in a moment, but you can go through any training and suddenly realize, oh my gosh, I remember learning that and I've never used it. Now I'm learning it again and I can see how to use it. So some of you may go, well, yeah, Mr. Yarwood's been teaching this since day one. The question is, have you been using it since day one? And have you remembered everything that he taught from day one? And that, I think, is so powerful. As a sales manager in the liquor and wine business for 23 years, one of the things I was a part of a team of responsibility was the training every year, going back to the basics and teaching the basics to veterans that had been selling wine and liquor for 30 years. And the great thing about it was reminding them of the basics, the stuff that they did in the beginning, the excitement that they may have had to do what they were doing in the beginning and to see how it had drained out of them, or they didn't see the value in it, so they stopped doing it. Now they can see, oh my gosh, the value didn't show up for a year to 2 or 2 years down the road. That's the same, for me, that's this whole accountability for martial arts. Like how do you remain accountable as a leader consistently so that all these things are like building blocks on who you are and how you are as a leader? So leaders in martial arts teach accountability by holding themselves and others responsible for their actions and their progress. This includes showing up to training on time, following the dojo's rules, and taking responsibility for both successes and failures. They teach that true leadership involves owning one's choices. So you might hear that and go, well, I know I'm going to be late once a month. Okay, well, are you in communication about that once a month? Are you making sure that, in this instance, Mr. Yarwood is aware every month that this is the week coming up? And by the way, as a coach, I fail. This past week, I failed to remind one of my clients, hey, it's the second Wednesday of the month, and I'm not available till an hour later. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Right? Like he took responsibility for it. I'm like, no, I'm the one that was responsible. Him taking responsibility as well creates both of us, holding each other to that standard. And, this brings me back to the whole game of integrity. Integrity isn't necessarily keeping your word. It's about honoring your word, i.e., if you give it and it gets broken, or you're breaking it, or you're going to break it, being in communication as soon as possible. So I share this because the last three things, a couple of the last things we're going to be talking about: tradition, art, conflict resolution, fairness, promoting integrity and ethics, and training future leaders. And I know we're past our 30 minutes here, so I'm excited, Mr. Yarwood, I think, to do this other half next week when we can come back and actually share some of the stuff from the instructor training this upcoming weekend.
Yep.
And bring that in to give us some examples as well.
I agree. It's gonna be cool. I've already had a little bit of a taste of it at Fall Nationals, but this is going to be the whole thing. Plus, I'm actually testing, so we'll see how I do applying my skills to actual life and see what happens.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to write a little note. This weekend is instructor training. Stay tuned to the social media for pics and tips. All right. There we go. Boom.
Boom.
It's out there. All right. Well, Mr. Yarwood, any closing thoughts?
Nope. Go out there and be a leader. Go do what you know you're supposed to do. Show others how to do it, and be humble. Know that there's always more to learn.
Awesome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen,